Chapter 9. I went to the back of the sofa, against the wall, so I didn't have to look at any of them. I could still hear them, though. The boy moved around the room, putting his cardboard city back together. The soldier sat in the chairs by the window and talked about stupid pet tricks they'd seen on television. The day moved very slowly. Every now and then I heard the footsteps of people going by. Once I heard a donkey. No one stopped outside the little house. No one knocked at the door. "What's the kid doing here all by himself?" Simcha asked. "Where are his parents? What's wrong with these people?" "His parents must have thought they'd be back soon," Aaron said. "Maybe something went wrong." "Are you on their side then?" Simcha asked. "I thought you were the one whose father cleaned up bodies after bombings." "Yeah, well, this kid didn't do any bombings." "Not yet," said Simcha. "Do you think he's hungry?" Aaron asked. "Kids are always hungry." At the mention of food, I moved to where I could watch Aaron search the little kitchen. He rattled the chickpeas and touched the sprouted onion. Then he went to his duffel bag and pulled out a pack of field rations. "You're going to feed 'em?" Simcha asked. "Take it out of your stash. Don't expect me to share mine." "You'll do as you're told," Aaron said, "but I'm giving yours to the cat." And then he actually did snatch one of Simcha's ready meals. He opened it up and put it on the floor. I pushed my face right into the chicken stew before Simcha had a chance to leave the telescope and grab it away from me. Aaron heated up the meal for the boy with the automatic heater in the pack, then did one for himself. The boy dived into his dinner like a fish returning to water. Aaron put Simcha's meal on the table. Before Simcha could get to it, I left mine and started eating his. I knew he wouldn't want it after I'd been in it. That way, I'd get 2 meals. It worked. Simcha tried to pick me up and get me off the table, but I made my body go like a rock. Simcha was stronger and bigger, but I relied on the condition that affects most humans. They don't want to be cruel to animals. "Stupid cat," he said, and left me alone to stuff myself. "Simcha," Aaron said. "Your name means joy in Hebrew. Is that your real name, or did you call yourself something else in California?" "It's my real name." "Your parents are religious then, to give you a Hebrew name?" "My parents are hippies," Simcha said. "I have a sister named Sunshine." "Are they in Israel too?" "They're back in California. They run a surfing school for underprivileged kids. That's why I came here, to open a surfing school of my own. There's good surfing here. I'll do my compulsory military service, then spend the rest of my life on the beach. You?" "Fifth generation Sabra," Aaron said. "My ancestors escaped pogroms and planted orange groves in the desert." "Cool," Simcha said. "Yes, cool. Cool," I thought, wishing they'd shut up. A sister named Sunshine. I wondered if Simcha ever made fun of her when they were growing up. Probably. My sister and I were named after saints. I was named after St. Clare, who started up some nuns way back in the Dark Ages. Claire's not a bad name. Polly wasn't so lucky. She was named after a guy named Polycarp, who hung out with the Apostle John. As soon as I heard that, I started calling her Fish Face. My parents weren't religious, but my mother's mother was hardcore Catholic. She even moved to a Catholic worker house after my grandfather died. I used to help her out in the soup kitchen there every weekend. Grandmother was fun to be with, even though she gave away all of her money and spent her time with homeless people who didn't dress very well. "Serve with a joyful heart, and the joy will come back to you, Claire Bear," she was always saying to me. She was joyful to all the people who came to eat there, right up until one of the druggies killed her for the $5 she had in her pocket. Being kind doesn't lead to anything good. The boy finished with his meal. He licked his tray clean. He took it over to the City of Dreams, got some scissors and tape off the shelf, and started turning it into a new house for his city. Aaron collected the rest of the trays, rinsed them off in the sink, and gave them to the boy. The boy reached into one of the turrets of the castle and brought out a bag of candies. He offered one to each soldier. Aaron took one. Simcha didn't. I butted my head against the boy's leg. He handed Simcha's candy to me. I took it in my teeth and stored it away under the sofa. Another thing that was mine. "What are we going to do with him?" Simcha asked. "What if his parents don't show up and we have to leave? Do we take him with us?" "I don't know," Aaron said. "I haven't run into this before. When we've taken over a house with a family, we put everyone in the back room. The parents look after the kids. I guess we'd have to take him with us and turn him over into the unit commander. Make the kid his problem." "You look as though you don't like that plan." "I don't," said Aaron. "I've seen full-blown riots from out of the blue on a calm, sunny day. These people get some tiny bit of half-naked and half-baked information and blow it all out of proportion without even bothering to find out if it's true or not. Next thing you know, Someone's shouting, stones are flying, some idiots start tossing Molotov cocktails, and people are getting hurt. Aaron thought for a moment, then picked up the radio. I'm going to call it in, he said. It's one of those little things that could turn into a big thing. Let someone higher up make the decision about what to do with the boy. He turned the radio on. All he got was a bit of static. Then, even that went quiet. Battery's dead, he said. Get the spares, will you? Simcha looked around for spare batteries. Then Aaron looked. They couldn't find them because they were under the sofa where I'd hid them. I'm sure I packed them, said Simcha. Can we use the recorder batteries? Wrong size, Aaron said. He looked out the window. It's quiet out there now. Maybe we should just go. I could have handed the batteries over to them, but I didn't want to. There were more ready-to-eat meals in the duffel bags. I wasn't going to let the soldiers get away until I had another chance at a good meal. I went to the door and plopped down in front of it, blocking their way out. Nobody was going anywhere. Chapter 10. The second detention I got was for not moving. I was in the hallway with my crew, standing by the long row of lockers near this auto shop room. We were doing what we usually did when we weren't in class. Hanging out, eating, brushing our hair, talking about other kids and complaining about teachers. Nothing special. For sure, nothing evil. None of us had lockers in that section, but we liked to hang out there because the hallway was narrow and we could all find a locker to lean against and still look at each other and talk without having to shout. Plus, we liked that all the kids coming down the hall had to pass close by us, and sometimes we wouldn't let them. Some of the boys coming out of auto shop were funny looking, and we could make them feel bad. There was also a teacher's washroom in that area. We could stare at them as they came out and make them think that they had toilet paper on their shoes or something. We could see what everyone was wearing and if their hair looked funny. It was fun. There was one kid in our school in a wheelchair. He had cerebral palsy and was really popular, even though his family had no money. He couldn't play sports and he didn't wear cool clothes. I never talked to him. He had a motor on his wheelchair so that he could move it himself. I could see him coming towards us, and I decided I was tired of him being so popular for doing nothing more than sitting in a wheelchair. I didn't even think about it, really. I didn't plan it ahead, but when his wheelchair started to come toward me, I decided to stay where I was and not move to let him pass. I turned my back to him. I kept looking at my friends and talking, and anyone looking at us would think that I didn't know the wheelchair kid was there. I could see from the looks on my friends' faces that they could see what was going on and thought it was hilarious. Wheelchair kid started to ask me to get out of the way, but he couldn't really speak very well, so I decided to continue to pretend he wasn't there. He kept trying to ask me to move until I turned around and said, "Is there something you want? Speak up." My friends all giggled, although they did it behind books that they held up to their mouths. I was brave enough to laugh openly. I stopped only when I saw from their eyes that something was wrong. Miss Zero, of course, was creeping up on us. We wouldn't have kept Wheelchair Boy trapped for long, but did that matter to Zero? Not a bit. She just jumped to the conclusion that we were doing something wrong. No, that I was doing something wrong. I stepped aside and let Chairboy pass. I didn't even want to be told to. I should have got some credit for that. "Times 2, she said to me, before starting a conversation with the chair and continuing down the hallway. When I got back to my homeroom, my name was back on the chalkboard with a "times 2 beside it. At the end of the day, I stayed behind after class to write out the copies. I didn't plan on speaking to Miss Zero. There was nothing I wanted to say. I just wanted to get the punishment done and get away from her. "You'll have to do the homework at home," she said. "You'll have to do the work at home. I'm leaving now." "I won't be long," I said. "No, you won't be," Miss Zero said. "You'll be leaving now, too. I have to lock up the classroom." "I don't have a copy of the poem at home," I said. "That's a problem," she said. "It's a good thing you have a brain that will assist you in finding a solution." "I'll take the poster home," I decided, and moved to take it down from the bulletin board. "That stays here," Miss Zero said. "It belongs to me." She held the door open for me and motioned with her head that it was time for me to go through it. "How am I supposed to do the detention?" Miss Zero said nothing except, "Have a good evening." She locked the door behind her and walked away from me down the hall. So I didn't do the detention. I suppose I could have looked it up on the internet, but I didn't think of that until the next morning. It wasn't my fault. It was hers for not suggesting it. But that didn't keep her from taking one look at her desk at the beginning of the class the next morning, then crossing to the side chalkboard and changing the number 2 beside my name to a number 3. I stayed in at lunchtime and copied out the stupid poem 3 times. Miss Zero was having one of her time management seminars. All the desks were taken. I had to stand the whole time. It was completely wrong. No one should ever be treated like that. She should never have been allowed to be a teacher.